Welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel again today. I'm working in my art journal, so get comfy and let's get crafty. Today I am working on the Mission Inspiration July 2022 prompt, Page Vacation. This is a recreation of a favorite vacation, creating a dream or a fantasy destination, and that's where I'm headed. I'm working with my jelly plate to create the background for my art journal page. This is the 8x10 jelly plate, and I have placed it on a piece of copy paper on top of my work surface so that you can kind of see what's going on. And my first task is to add some dark blue, kind of purplish, I think this is Chip Sapphire Distress paint. This is the acrylic paint. And I'm just kind of smearing that around with my brayer. And then I'm going to roll my brayer off on a scrap piece of paper over here on the side and add my second color. This is Stormy Sky, something like that. Stormy Sky, it's another blue. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit less purple, a little bit more periwinkle, I guess. And I'm going to add that, smear that around with a smaller brayer, both to the second row of color there and also on the bottom. Next, I will bring in Squeezed Lemonade, I think. And I'm doing a little tiny bit of that with the small brayer right in the middle. You might can see where I'm going here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of, this is Wild Honey Distress paint. I'm adding that off to the side of my yellow. I'm going to go ahead and clean off that brayer. And then I will be adding some broken china. This is also I'm using all Distress paints here. So I'm going to smear that around with my little brayer again and clean it off on my clean off sheet there. Got a little bit too much of that broken china, so I've got to take some of it back. I'm going to put a little bit more of that yellow because I covered up more than I wanted to. And the great thing with the jelly plate is that you can add layers of paint. The thicker the layer and the more wet it is, the longer you might have to wait to pull a print because it needs to be kind of sort of dry or at least not sopping wet to get your best print. And then I'm adding a little bit of frayed burlap to the bottom of the jelly plate here. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull my first print. I have a piece of mixed media paper. It's about 8.5 by 5.5 inches. And I'm covering it with a piece of copy paper. And I'm just going over it with my hands. I'm smoothing it all around to pick up the paint. So for some reason, this acrylic paint, and you noticed it already, is kind of not sticking to my gel plate very well. And so it's quite splotchy. But I'm okay with that because this is just my first print, right? And the first print is always not the best, at least in my opinion. So this time I'm going to start with that Wild Honey, the kind of darker yellow through the middle. And I'm brayering that on with my wider brayer because I'm okay, it's the middle, it's the first. I'm going to add other layers. I will go back and add that Stormy Sky. And I'm using the larger brayer on that again, which I think my larger brayer works better on my gel print, my jelly plate. I don't know. I could be wrong. It could just be that this is not a clean gel plate, so it's going on better anyway. I did kind of go over that Stormy Sky a little bit more than I wanted, so I'm going to add some more back in, which is totally okay. I don't want perfectly straight lines, but, it'll all work out in the wash. I am going to go ahead and add another layer or another row of broken china and frayed burlap as well down there on the bottom. So you can kind of see I'm going for a sunset sunrise kind of background here. I'm going to go ahead and place the same paper right back down on top of my gel plate. And I got a clean piece of paper to smooth over the backside. Kind of pick up the stuff around the edges. That is the edges that are not covered up by my art journal page. And when I pull up this second time, I love it. Okay, it is not perfect. And again, I'm not sure if that's the paper I'm using, probably because there's texture to the paper, but that's okay. So now I need to clean off my jelly plate. And really, truly, the best way to clean off a jelly plate is to add a layer of white acrylic paint, let it dry, or, dry to the touch, right? And now I'm picking up my clean off sheet, and wait until you see this. And this is just copy paper, which is smoother and thinner, and I think why it gets a better print. But oh my gosh, I love that so much. That will totally become the background for something. That is so pretty. I don't know what I'm doing with that yet, but I'm totally using it. So I did not get all the paint off my jelly plate, so I am going to add another layer. And this is just the Hobby Lobby brand titanium white acrylic paint that's kind of in the fine art section versus the craft section, because that was the closest white thing that I found, the closest tube of white paint that I found. I am using one of the other pieces of paper I had that I used to kind of clean up the edges. And this also is kind of a pretty background. I don't love it quite as much, but holy cow, that first ghost print I love. Okay, so I have this old Newton's Nook stamp set, and it is all about the beach, but it is kind of a watercolor. So these stamps are not super smooth. They're supposed to look watercolory, right? So I am going to use a stamp block, which I have not used in like 100 years. And I am going to just stamp some images with this Versaclair VersaFine Nocturne Black ink. And I'm using the little island image, and I'm stamping it kind of on the horizon line. So what you'll see is you'll have the sunrise or sunset reflecting in the water a little bit. Yeah, I see where I'm going, right? I am definitely going for that beach vibe, that beachy scene. To be fair, the beach was not my dream vacation when my children were littler, because little kids get lost easy, and I have a huge fear of losing somebody in the water. I have lost a lot of people I love to drowning, and I shouldn't say a lot of people, but more than one person to drowning. And so little kids and large bodies of water are not relaxing for me. Let's put it that way. It was a great vacation because my kids had a good time, but it wasn't a relaxing vacation for me as a mom. Sidetrack. In order to get kind of that deeper, darker sunrise, sunset sand color, I am taking my sponge, my blending sponge, and that Nocturne ink and a torn piece of paper, and kind of going over that frayed burlap. Okay, so back to what I was saying. The beach was not my most relaxing vacation, but we did always have a good time with the kids, right? But now that my youngest is 10, and he still needs a ton of supervision. Don't get me wrong. He's a 10-year-old boy. He needs a ton of supervision. But I know he's not going to wander off with somebody. I don't have to worry about him getting lost so much as the other big fear I have with large bodies of water, right? So the beach is a little bit less of a overwhelming vacation to me as a mom now. In order to get my sun or moon, I'm going for moon here. I'm going for sunset versus sunrise. I am using a white pigment ink and the little moon stamp that is in this stamp set. I have cut out of a magazine this little, it's more like a patio chair than a beach chair, but I don't care because I liked it. And another page had this stack of books. And I know that in real life, these books would not be the same size as the chair. But in my mind, in my world, in my dream vacation, I would go to the beach with no extra worries and a comfy chair and the biggest stack of books I could carry and just sit next to the water and enjoy. Okay, so this is my dream fantasy vacation. I've got a gigantic stack of books and a chair along the water, and I'm just chilling out. Now, I used some liquid glue to adhere the chair and the books, and I didn't love the angle that the chair kind of ended up at. This was cut out of a magazine, and I did need to back it with some, I used some thin cardstock, and because it would not, every time I tried to cut it, it was just tearing. So it's a little bit extra. I've got glue all over my fingers now, so it's sticking to my fingers. And every time it sticks to my fingers, I pull it apart from its backing. And that's why I pulled out the stamp block to kind of use it, because it's not as sticky as my fingers, right? Because glue, nemesis, not my friend, right? Now that I have my chair and my books along the ocean, I pulled out my Tim Holtz Chit Chat or small talk stickers, and I found a quote. And the quote for my art journal says, let me open my book here, "No journey is too great if you find what you seek." And I have taken that sentiment strip, or that sentence strip, quote strip, whatever you want to call it, and cut it in half and placed it on my art journal page. And I'm loving how this has turned out. One thing I did notice that paper was really flimsy because of all of the acrylic paint. So I had a piece of kind of a lightweight black cardstock sitting on my desk. So I went ahead and put some ATG tape all over the back of my art journal page and adhered my art journal page to this black cardstock. Normally I would just pull out another piece of the mixed media paper that is already cut down and punched to size for my art journal, but I was a little concerned about the heaviness of the paint on the paper, so I went with something just a little bit thicker. And I'm going to trim that off right down next to the side of my art journal page. And my art journal page is nearly complete. All that is left is to check my prompt card and make sure I have included all of the I won't say necessary, but suggested elements. And I do have a vacation page. This is kind of my dream vacation. My printer is kind of running out of toner here, but the colors were like orange and green and yellow, and I kind of sort of got those in there. Right, suggested colors. There's orange in the sun, there's yellow in the sun, there's green in the water. Yeah, I'm good. I am going to go ahead and tape this prompt card to the back of my page. And you can see that I've already off screen cut the, or punched the holes rather, in that paper again. And all that is left now is to sign and date my art journal page. This was by far not my fastest art journal page, but definitely was not very long either, including the cleanup with the acrylic paint. Let me know, what is your dream vacation down in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by. I have included a couple other videos I think you might like, as well as a subscribe button. If you have not done so already, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel, and I hope you have a really fabulous day.